Hello, I'm Dan from Edimo Electric Bikes, and today I'm going to give you the full rundown of the new Urban 5 Commute from Riese and Müller. Today I've come to Plymouth. I'm doing the Plym Valley Trail, and the real reason for it is to try and find a quiet spot so I can just do a review of the new Urban 5 Commute. Now, we've had this bike for a little while now. It turned up late October, I think it must have been early November that it actually came in, and I've had it now to do some rides on, take some different places. This is my own bike, well, the bike I'm claiming as my own. It's actually a test bike, large frame, if anybody wants to come and try it. And the weather's been awful, so I've really struggled to get out and find a good time to do the review of this bike. But it's now February, and it's around about the start of February, very early, and I've managed to pick a day where the sun's come out. It almost feels like spring's here, and I've done this lovely trail. Started down in Plymouth at the Hoe, and then made my way up the River Plymouth. Is a trail. I think it's called Drake's Trail, but I think it's also called the Plym Valley up towards Tavistock. And I've ridden this bike mostly with the battery off, if I'm honest. It's been a really lovely ride, and I've now just found somewhere quiet to pull over to the side and run through all the different specs and the bits and pieces on this bike that you might be interested in knowing. So let's start at the front of the bike. So let's look at the tyres, because that's a nice easy one for me to remember. So the wheels we've got on the front, so 28-inch wheels, 700C, fitted with the Schwalbe G1 tyres. They're a weird looking tyre. They've got this sort of knobbly pattern to them, but they roll really well. And most of the trail, I think you can probably see that I've done today, has been this sort of tarmac type trail, and it has been absolutely superb. They're really efficient. I've hardly had the battery on at all, which is not like me. I normally love to get as much power as I can, as much speed, but I found I've quite happily just been poodling along about 8 miles an hour on this bike, and pretty much no resistance at all. I'm not sure how well they'll hold up when you actually probably get off-road and do some gravel. I have seen there's a track a little bit further down the road, which I might go and give a go later, and I can have a go at falling off, going over the handlebars and getting covered in mud, but I thought I'd best do the little video first. But yeah, the tan wall of these tyres looks really cool with the colour of the frame. So this is called Silver, this frame. It's like a greeny colour. I think it looks really cool together. Another nice feature on this bike, as standard on the Urban 5 Commute, you're going to get a front fork. So from memory, this is a Suntour GVX fork. I think it's a 60mm travel. So it's nothing huge at all, but it's enough to just make the ride a little bit more comfortable. Downside of it is it does add a little bit of weight to the bike, but we're talking it's sub 20 kilograms for the bike, so it's nothing too bad. But it does make it a little bit more comfortable. It's an air suspension, so you can change the pressure on it using the little Schrader valve on the left-hand side here, and it's also got a lockout, so if you want to lock it round, which I have done today, it will make the bike a little bit more efficient. Nice thing about this bike, because this is a really good commuting bike and then cross over to a gravel bike as well, it comes with all the bits you need. So most important, mud guards. So if you're going to be riding this bike to work, you don't really want to get to work absolutely soaked where the water's kicked up off the road. So got some nice long mud guards front and back, so you're not going to get yourself covered in mud, and it's quite nice not to have that flicking up in your face. And for those of you who do ride through the winter, well, you might not be as picky as me, but one of the things I really hate is when I go out and I wear glasses and I ride off down the road and it flicks mud up into my glasses, and I'm sitting there trying to wipe them for the rest of the day. So having a mud guard, as boring and untrendy as it might be, is absolutely brilliant. And I guess if you really didn't want it, you could take them off later, further down the line. Also sticking at the front here, I guess we should look at lights. So as standard, again, this bike is going to have lights. This is a, I can't remember, it's a Supernova or a Bush & Müller. Supernova light that's on the front here, super powerful. I've just ridden it through a tunnel in the darkness. Hopefully we'll get some footage so you can see that lighting up. You can switch that off, but I tend to leave it running. It doesn't use much battery at all. And then there's an integrated light down on the back mudguard as well, which looks pretty cool as well. So LED lights, perfectly suitable for doing your commute. You're going to get seen on the roads, which is most important, and also you're going to be able to see. Next thing, looking at this bike. Now this is called a Commute, so they do make another range of bikes, the UBNs, or urbans, I always call them. I don't know if that's right or not, but urban bikes. This one is called an Urban 5, so it has a high crossbar. They also make an Urban 6 and 7, one with a low step and one with a full step-through frame on it. And those bikes then come with a combination of different gearing that you can get. So again, this is from memory, a touring, so a chain and cassette version. They'll have a silent, which is a Shimano hub, and I can't think which one it is. It's not the Nexus, it's the one up from that. They also have a Vario version of it as well, and I think that's it that you can get for the combination of gears. But this bike, on the Commute version, so they've made a slightly different version of it. One, they've put a drop handlebar, so all the other ones will be a flat handlebar. This one, they've put a drop on it. And then they've put on a chain cassette, but they've used the Shimano GRX, which is the gravel specific set. So that's really cool. So we've got a nice wide range of gears. We've got 11 speeds on the back here. Can't remember the cassette size. It's going to be something like 1148 is my guess. I'll try and find out the specs and I'll put them up on the screen for you. But with the drop handlebars, we then get these nice levers with the built-in gear shift as well. So it's a slightly different riding position, and it's slightly more sporty. It also looks a lot cooler. So if you're into the sort of the gravel riding scene at the moment, you'll see there's loads of gravel bikes coming out, and this sort of drop handlebar, the gravel type cassette and everything that's on the back is what everybody is tending to go for. It's nice because it gives you the crossover, doing the practicality of the day rides to commute to work. It allows you to ride road quite happily as well, but it will also let you then go and ride some of the off-road stuff, which is going to be quite exciting. Moving a little bit further up, we've got a lovely bell on this. I don't know if it's going to sound because I've got a cable in the way. Hopefully you can hear that. It's a bell, it's called an oi. Makes a really long running ding noise that goes to it, rather than they used to have something called a billy bell that was on here, which looked pretty basic. I think they're starting to change over to this on motorbikes. It's a nice little bell. But then the bit I really like on this bike, it doesn't come fitted with an LED display or anything. Sorry, when I say LED, I mean LCD LED, that sort of full functioning screen that gives you graphics and information and everything. So the basic thing is to have this little display on your top tube here. That's going to tell you how much battery you've got left, and also which power mode you're in out of 3. I don't know, stupid names, River, Breeze, Storm, I don't know, they make up 3 silly different settings for the names, but basically 3 power settings that you can get on it, and they're going to be displayed on there. But the really nice thing about this bike, it comes with an SP Connect, which is really quite a basic adapter. You buy a case for your phone that I've got here, and then you clip your phone onto the handlebars. One thing I did forget to mention about this bike, which is really important, is how you change the power settings. So obviously you've got your standard gears on the lever. So you're going down a gear, lower gears by pressing the long lever, tucked in behind it, a little short one to go up the gears. But if you want to change your power assistance, obviously your hands aren't here, so we can't have the ring control that a Fazua would normally have with the sort of up click, down click and push to switch the lights on everything. So what they've done is really sneaky. In under the grips on the handlebar here, there's 2 little buttons hidden under the tape. And you can just feel them, just raised, and they've got a little click to them, one on the left, one on the right. If you click and hold the one on the left, it will switch the bike on or off. And then you click right to go up the power, and then you click left to go down the power. Click and hold them both and it will turn the lights on and off. If you do a fast click on them, it will put them into boost mode. Boost mode means that the bike's going to give you all the beams it's got off the lights. So it just gives you that hit of power. It's only for a short period of time, a number of seconds, and then it will return back to the standard mode. But it's really cool. And you do all of that just by these little buttons that are under here. One problem I would say is you spend most of your time with your hands up on the grips here by the brakes and changing gear, and my little brain struggles to remember that I've got to come back here to be changing the power and then going back out again. But do you know what? The idea it's actually hidden in here is brilliant, because the whole thing is so free of complication and everything that goes on. It just makes it look really nice, and it makes it feel really nice to ride as well. This bike is provided with something from Riese and Müller called their RX chip and a little app that goes with it. The app is going to provide you all the information about your riding stats, how far you've been, all that sort of stuff. But it also does something really important. The RX chip has a built-in GPS tracker on it. First year is free from Riese and Müller, and that GPS tracker allows you to know where your bike is at all times by logging in through the app. So on my app, I can go in and I can, when I finish my ride, I hit the button, I lock the bike, and the bike is then tracked, and you can choose whether you want to switch on an audible and a visual alarm. So an audible alarm obviously makes a screeching noise if somebody moves the bike, and also if you go for the visual one, the lights start flashing as well. Now that's enough to put off some people who are going to be trying to nick your bike. But if they still continue to take your bike, what you're going to find is that you can track exactly where it is. So you can just go and follow it. They chuck it in a hedge to come back later. You can just go and pick it up and bring it back and carry on using it. Comes as standard on this bike. So it's the nice sort of anti-theft system that they've got in there. And I'm hoping we're going to see this on more and more bikes so that they become less nickable in the future. Now, one of the features that probably the app from Riese and Müller is lacking a little bit in, I would say, is the sat-nav type thing. I pressed in there to go and do routes and stuff, and it just kicked me out into, I think, Google Maps or Apple Maps, whatever was the default on the phone, which was a bit of a shame. However, I do use Commute on my phone, and it's absolutely brilliant. And because you've got your phone mounted there, you can just swipe through onto Commute, set it as your sat nav. It will give you turn-by-turn directions. You can turn the screen off. If you want to save battery, it will still shout at you and tell you which way to turn. And that's been brilliant. The only downside is that obviously if you're using that GPS and sat nav on your phone, it runs the battery flat. And I would say within about an hour of riding, I was down to, I think it was about 40% battery, did some filming bits and pieces, came to my bike, realised I'd left it running, I was down to 20%. Panic kicked in, but there's one really nice feature on this bike, and it's a feature of the Fazua system. On the top here, we've got a little, I think it's called a USB-C output, so you can power your phone. Now, I plugged that in, and my phone is now at 100% charge. So whilst I've been going along, I've been taking power from the battery to charge my phone up, so I can carry on for the rest of the day with no worry that it's going to go flat at all. This bike is fitted with something called the Fazua Ride 60. The main component of that Ride 60 is a motor that's down in the bottom bracket down here. It's a 60 Newton meter motor. So on some of the bigger, beefier Bosch bikes, we'd see a motor, the Gen 4 motors that are kicking out 85 Newton meters of torque. They're great, but they are a bit bigger, a bit heavier, and they're also a little bit noisier as well. Something like this, where we're talking about 60 Newton meters, is quite nice because it's a lighter motor, it's smaller, and it's more efficient. So it means that we're going to get further on a battery, but we're going to have to put in a little bit more effort if we want to climb some enormous hills. But having said that, 60 Newton meters, 250 watts of nominal power is more than enough to get up most hills. And when it's combined with a cassette like this on the back, we've got no problems at all. So this motor is combined with it's 430 watt-hour battery in the down tube that we've got here. 430 watt-hours, I'd probably normally say that's good for about 40-45 miles. On this bike, I think we're going to be easily getting in excess of 60 miles out of that single battery that's there. We're going to have to be sensible about how we use it. If we ride it in turbo everywhere, then obviously not. And if we ride it continuously off-road, we're obviously not as well. But because the tyres are so efficient, because we've got a chain of cassette on here, everything is really set up for this bike to do an incredible amount of miles. So yeah, 60 miles plus I don't think is really going to be a problem at all on this bike. Having said that, I'm more than happy to do 20 to 30 miles and to use all of the battery as quick as I possibly can during that time, so it's really good fun. Oh, let's talk about the frame. So the frame on the Urban 5 Commute comes in one colour. So this is called Silver. It's like a greeny metallic colour. The frame has got all these sort of ground down welding, so it looks like just one smooth piece, so it looks super slick. It comes in three different sizes. It comes in a 47, a 51 and a 56, I think it is. I might be wrong about that. This is the largest size of 56 centimetre frame. I'm 6'1", perfect size bike for me. So it's pretty simple when it comes to choosing the bike. You know, the bike is pretty much as you see it. This is the specification. It's got one option from Riese and Müller that you can choose, and that is this cafe style lock, an ABBA shield lock you can have added onto the bike as well. It's £47, and I kind of just would chuck it on by default anyway, because it's a bit of a faff to fit it yourself afterwards, unless you've got a specific lock that you're probably going to use yourself. Moving back on the bike, we've got a nice rack. So we've got integrated rack as standard on this. It's built into the mud guard, so it's nice and solid. I've been carrying on here a Ortlieb gravel bag, a smaller bag, can't remember exactly what the size is of it, but it fits really nice on there. And I've managed to get in there my drone, my GoPro, something else, some other camera type stuff, or microphones, jumper, a coat, I've got a tripod, absolutely loads and loads of stuff. These are limited to about 7.5 kilograms on either side, but that's plenty enough if you're going to be doing a commute, or if you're going to be doing a sort of a day ride out, sort of gravel riding. That's loads of stuff. Other options, you can obviously put these nice frame bags on it, or we've got a nice one that fits under here as well, so you can load it up with pretty much everything that you need. And then last things to look at the back of the bike, really practical things like a stand. It's weird how much I use a stand on a bike. As a kid, I'd have always been, it probably would have been one of the first things I'd have taken off, along with the mud guards and everything. But what you realise now is the practicality of having things like a stand, having a pannier rack, having mud guards. They're the things that actually make this bike really enjoyable to ride. And you can just jump on it and go and do any type of riding you think about, you know, commuting, road riding, you know, a bit of off-road as well. It's really kitted out, ready to go for everything. So pricing on this bike, we are talking around about 4,700, 4,800. Apologies if I've got that wrong. The option that you can get on it is the ABBA shield of £47. Everything else that you can see is as standard. So there's no sort of complicated sort of endless options, which we normally get on the Riese and Müller. I guess if you put it into the family of bikes, you know, it is an Urban 5, so then there are 4 other gear types that you can get and everything. But this being the Urban 5 Commute, it is specifically with the drop bars. It comes with one gear choice, which is the chainer cassette that's on it. But as a standard bike, it's really well kitted out. And I think the price as well is pretty competitive as well. So Riese and Müller normally are very good at making incredibly expensive bikes, but this is fitting pretty much into the range of all the other bikes out there that do very similar things. But I think for me, the key thing on this bike, apart from it being incredibly comfortable to ride, is having that piece of security, that RX chip that's in here, that means I can know where my bike is at any time. Just gives you a little bit of a more comfortable feeling when you leave it outside a shop. You go and grab your coffee, and if it's not, I guess if it's not there when you get back, at least you know where it is. So I think that's about it for the review of the Urban 5. My plan is I'm going to now probably start heading back towards Plymouth, go and see if I can get a couple of more nice shots whilst I'm out there, ride through some puddles, try and get some of that gravel whilst I'm down there. There was a track I saw, see how I get on with that. That'll probably mean me ending up in the mud. So if you've enjoyed this review, then please remember to hit the like and subscribe. Good news is there's some more reviews coming very shortly from Riese and Müller. We've got 3 new bikes. We've got the Homage 5, the Delight 5, and the Super Delight 5. One of them's a dual battery bike. 2 of them are GT pinion combined gearbox type stuff. Loads of exciting stuff coming through this year, and we will endeavour to get you the reviews as soon as we possibly can. If I missed anything in this review, please chuck your questions in the comments down the bottom, and I will do my best to go and find out everything that you need to know.